Welcome to Recap Roundup, where we recap the best movie recaps to come out in the past 24 hours. Today we're going to take a look at 5 exciting movies. Let's get right into it. The first movie recap that we're going to look at is called Moonhaven. It comes from Mystery Recap, and this is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi thriller. The premise of the story is that the Earth has become almost uninhabitable 200 years into the future, and because of that, humans have terraformed the moon and created a city known as Moonhaven. And Moonhaven is more of this utopia type place where the Earth now has become more of a hellscape. And because of this, there is obviously inequities between the people who live on the Earth and people who live on the moon. And what really propels this story is a murder, which kind of gets the events rolling. So this is a really exciting and fun story that goes beyond just the special effects and really tells a great story. There's some really fun plot twists and interesting characters, and if you're into sci-fi and especially dystopian stories, you're really going to like this. So again, this is Moonhaven, and it's from Mystery Recap, and I have the link in the description below. The next movie comes from Horror Recaps, and it's called Door in the Woods, and it's a really creepy story that follows that tradition of kind of a disturbed child, and you have this mysterious place. So the story starts with a family that moves into a new home in a new neighborhood, and they have a child who's just kind of disturbed, has some behavioral issues, and he's starting at a new school. And the dad works at the school to help pay for the tuition, and the kid gets in trouble. He gets into a fight, so he gets punished, but the parents decide to take the family on a hike to maybe smooth things out, and that's when they encounter what is known as the Door in the Woods. And I don't want to spoil it for you because it's a really cool premise, and I think you'll really love this recap if you're into horror movies. This is kind of a creepy story, has some great elements of storytelling and interpersonal reactions between the family and other characters, and there's some really great jump scares and everything, so definitely check this out. Again, this is Door in the Woods from Horror Recaps, and I have the link in the description below. Okay, switching things up, the next movie is called Runt, and it's from Movie Recall, and this is a pretty interesting story. It's a violent story about a high school kid who gets bullied by a bunch of bigger guys, and he kind of takes matters into his own hands. And everything that propels this story is a girl that he has a crush on. So this guy is a very talented artist, and he gets accepted into UCLA, though he wants to go to the Rhode Island School of Arts. But besides the point, he's not really a physical guy, so he gets pushed around a lot. He's also a very academic guy, so the bullies want to cheat off of him. And he's got a lot of these problems, but he ends up taking matters into his own hands, and it really results in a lot of violent scenes. The Recall is very good at kind of showing you how everything progresses in the movie and how everything culminates into something that's actually kind of believable. So go ahead and check out Runt from Movie Recall. The link is in the description below. Next up is a comedy fantasy story from 2017 called Unleash, and this is from Pink Movies. And this is a very cute story. It's about this young woman named Emma who's an animal lover. She owns a dog and a cat. And she has this really nice boyfriend, so it seems, but the boyfriend betrays her, and so she sort of has this distrust of men, and she only really relies on her dogs and her cat for relationships. But through a mysterious turn of events, the dog and the cat turn into actual human men, and so now she's able to have relationships with her pets that are now humans. The recap is really good at kind of showing how the story develops and how these animals who are now humans tend to still think like their dog and cat, former bodies. So it's a really fun story, definitely worth checking out, especially if you watch, horror and other stuff. This is a nice kind of change up. So again, this movie is called Unleash, and it's from Pink Movies, and the link is in the description below. Finally, we have this outlandish Australian horror, almost comedy film called 100 Bloody Acres. So be warned, there is a lot of gore and a lot of detached body parts in the movie caps alone, so I could only imagine what the movie itself is like. And the premise is kind of hilarious. It's about these guys that own a fertilizer company, and in order to get an edge on the competition, they realize that if they mix their fertilizer with human remains, that they'll get a lot of business. So obviously they need to go find some dead bodies. So they begin to go find some dead bodies, and there's a lot of body parts involved here. And at a certain point, they kind of have trouble finding dead bodies, so they have to go find live bodies and turn them into dead bodies. And this involves a young couple on the way to a music festival whose vehicle naturally breaks down. So it's definitely a movie recap worth checking out if you like horror and comedy. The link is in the description below. I hope you enjoyed today's recap roundup. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. There will be daily recap roundups where I will find and show you the 5 best recaps worth watching. So go ahead and don't miss an update.